Really? Okay. Let the games
Shoot.
begin.
I was trying to get it to start recording before you came back. I just wanted to see what would happen. Like, I just wanted to see what you would say when you came back and just start talking.
Yeah.
I can
Okay.
start it over.
No, that's fine. All
It
right.
won't make for a very good intro.
Hey, we're not Joe Rogan.
No, we're not Joe Rogan, that's for sure.
Uh,
Welcome back to the Crave Show, everyone. All three of our listeners.
I don't know if that's true. Actually, so we just did Rookiefest, and that's why I missed yesterday as far as being around for the podcast, and so that's why we're recording tonight. But I had I think three different people in Rookiefest say, "Hey, man, keep up the podcast. It's awesome."
Really?
Yeah, which was super nice to
Oh,
hear.
dude.
Just
Okay. Three people. I told you, three guests. We have three guests.
yeah. No, it's just three people at Rookiefest. There's
And
there's more.
I guilted Tanya into listening to a few episodes, so she had never listened. I think I did. I tell you that
Mm-mm.
she had never ever listened to the podcast. This was like quite a few months ago,
Mm.
and I was like, "Wait, what? You've never listened to not one single episode?" She's like, "No, sorry." I was like, "How dare you?"
But did she do she's not a jumper though, right?
No, she's done one tandem, and
Yeah.
she didn't really like it.
Yeah.
And I can't
Well,
get her into the tunnel either. Like she's flown in the
really.
tunnel like
Mm.
two, maybe three times, and didn't really like that either.
That one's always a trip to me. Like,
I don't get it,
yeah. I mean, you're floating on air.
dude. It's
It's
just so fantastic. Like I don't get it.
Yeah. I mean, I could see. Okay, I don't want to jump out of an airplane. All right. I mean, that's not a natural thing for humans, and I guess floating on air isn't natural either. But man, it sure is fun.
Yeah, she said it's because she doesn't like the feeling that everyone is looking at her,
Oh,
which
well,
I don't know because she doesn't mind being in front. Anyway, that's what she says. She doesn't like it, so whatever. It's fine.
more time for you.
It's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So what's been going on? No guest tonight. No agenda. We can talk about
No guest.
anything we want.
Yeah. I asked. I'm still. I mean, there's still a long list of people that I would like to have on, and I asked Swanson this week, and he. I don't. Are you familiar with who that is?
Maybe. No.
Yeah, Mike Swanson. He.
Oh, I know his name, yes, but I do not know him.
Yeah. So when we had Olav on, Olav was one of Olav and Mike were teammates long time ago when
Okay.
along with Rook, um, and you know 23 years ago, um, and so when 24 years ago when I met Mike, he was still on a team with Rook, but they had switched from Olav to a guy called Alaska John DeVore, who's the head of Red Bull North America now. And so several people that I'd like to have on, but nobody said yes this week.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we can talk about anything we want, but I do have a question. Just over the summer, you know, summer's when we're doing more jumping. It's busy, more stuff going on. Anything stand out to you as far as safety issues or things that you just think, yeah, I kind of saw this multiple times this summer. I think it should be mentioned. People should be aware, thinking about it. Does anything stand out?
I mean, I don't know if it's a local problem to Skydive Chicago, but and you've been there now, so you can understand sort of the layout that I'm going to talk about. The landing direction, we have a landing T, and we have wind socks and wind flags in the landing area, but the big one is the T, big yellow T up at the north end of the landing area. And one of the things that ends up bothering me every year, and I don't really know how to fix it, is when we land in a cardinal direction, straight north, straight south, or even east west. Although east west is kind of a bummer, but north south, say that's our primary landing directions. Everyone's pretty good about following the pattern, but the second that we go, say southwest, off of a strict cardinal direction. It is we're going to get every direction from south to west, and almost guaranteed. And I I've talked to people till I'm blue in the face, and they, man, I don't know what it is, but I think that like following the landing pattern strictly should be a really not heavy-handed, but we should be serious about following the first person down
Mm-hmm.
very strictly. And if you don't like that pattern that that person set, you need to land far from the main landing area where there's like, okay, you're going to go a different direction, but you're not going to interact with people who are going the direction of the person who landed first. Um, and when we have 90-degree deviations from, you know, the T shows a tiny bit to the west from straight south, and somebody does that, and then it, man, it's just all over the map. And I'm not really sure how to combat that. I mean, I've talked to people, and it isn't that they're defiant; it's that they're clueless. They just, oh, I just thought we were landing straight south, or oh, I just thought we were going west because I saw somebody go kind of west. Like,
Huh.
man,
Interesting.
yeah. So I
I
don't know if that's something that happens at other places or just here, but it happens here all the time.
maybe. Yeah, I don't know that I don't know that I have enough experience at a bunch of other places consistently to be able to speak to other places. Um, I would say I'm trying to think at San Marcos. It's kind of a squarish landing area, kind of. There are a couple of edges that are definitely square, like 90-degree corner in one edge by the where uh, the runway is on one side, and then the loading area, is on that other side. You remember that loading area? So that corner makes like a 90-degree corner. So I have seen where, let's say if the landing direction is directly parallel with that line that runs along the or perpendicular to uh, the airstrip, the what you call it, runway, yeah, then it's really easy for people to get their bearings because it's like, oh, it's not, you can see the arrow is pointing and it looks 90 degrees, like perpendicular to the runway. So it's easy for people to get their bearings off of that runway and make a straight perpendicular final to that. I
Yeah.
have noticed when that is offset just a little bit one way or the other, there tends to be a little bit more variation.
Hmm.
I haven't ever noticed it to be something that seemed dangerous at our in our landing area, but you know, it would be different if you're thinking. I don't know if you're specifically thinking about Summerfest where there's tons of people, multiple loads, lots of people coming in at once. Maybe I don't know, um, but you think that? Remind me, does the runway at Chicago, is it? What's the heading? What's the bearing?
03 and 210, so a little bit west of south as you're going one way, and a little bit east of north as you go the other
Okay,
way.
so it's not directly in line with north
Mm,
south,
no,
just a little bit off. Huh.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so what have you tried? Like, what do you?
Um, Sorry, Bean was just trying to join me, but got caught by the my little uh, studio blanket. Um, During a bigger event, like say the head down record, it's staked down one direction or the other, north or south,
Hmm.
because that's too many people to have. Like we need our highest probability that we're all going to go the same direction, and knowing that people mess that up on a regular basis, yeah, 200 people coming down at the same time is too much for anything other than north or south. And so that's some mitigation during a bigger way event. But just normal, I just mean normal operation days.
Yeah.
We jumped today, and I mean, even to be honest, I don't know what the right way to say this is, but I sort of caved to the knowledge that if so, I was the first person down on several loads today. All the loads I was on, my group went out first, and I'm on a small canopy, so I get down first. And the T is actually going a tiny bit west of straight south, and but Anthony, our DZ manager, had said, "Hey, we're landing straight south today." So I continued to land straight south, even though the T was showing a slightly different direction. But I know if I follow it strictly, it's going to be a really messy landing pattern. Um, and it, I don't, yeah, I don't know. So
Yeah.
maybe I'm part of the problem. I don't know.
Well, I wonder if it's one of those things where people, it's like, okay, I'm coming into land and I see that the T is facing whatever direction. And when I come into land, my line is actually not exactly parallel with the T, right? Like I'm a little bit off, and I
Yeah,
land and I know that I was a little bit off, but then nobody ever says anything to me. I'm like, oh, well, that wasn't a big deal. Didn't matter. And then the next time, I go again. And this next time, maybe I'm more in line with it. But then the next time, maybe I'm even more off. Like, I'm really kind of askew of that landing direction, but nobody says anything.
yeah,
I don't know. I'm just wondering, like, I could see how that would be like. And it's not something that, at least I'm thinking about around San Marcos, it's not something that gets brought up a lot. Like, hey, seriously, this is a big deal. And this is why it's a big deal. Like you think that you're not causing a problem, but you don't realize the guy coming behind you at the right angle is going to cross your path or something. I don't know. Like maybe we just don't talk about it that much.
yeah. I mean, I don't know if there's a like an amount of deviation from the landing pattern that Anthony has in his mind. Like you can go up to 20 degrees or something, and at 30 degrees, I'm going to come talk to you. But the managers generally, Anthony in particular, uh, they're not. They're not. He's not an asshole. He's very nice, but he also doesn't let a lot of things slide.
Mm.
Like he's going to get on it kind of the first time. And I mean, I've said it in the loading area. I don't know how many times I say it every summer. What I just said, guys, if we, okay, right now it's southwest, and we're going to get everything from south to west, but I'm going to land first and I'm going to go with the T, and you guys should do that. And I don't even like using the word should, to be honest. I think it's a really shitty word, but I say it in that circumstance because that's what needs to happen. But it still doesn't. And
Huh. Yeah,
I'll
that
go
that
talk to
is.
people after, and hey, I landed with the T. Did you see the T? Yeah, but then somebody else landed a little bit different, and I didn't know what I was supposed to do. Like I don't know more words to say what needs to happen there.
Yeah, dude, I don't know. That's
But
interesting.
it's definitely one of those things that I think at any time, if you deviate from the landing pattern by 30 degrees, and you meet somebody who is not expecting that at 100 feet, you both die. Uh, and I don't think we should be waiting for that to happen before addressing that problem to people. I mean, that is sort of a no shit statement about a lot of different situations, but that one in particular, I don't know if people are taking seriously enough. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. Anything else that you've seen through the summer? Anything else that stood out?
I had a very nice summer of mostly people had um, their RSL or their MARD connected. Um, I had a couple talks with people. I had a really successful, I couldn't even believe it, a very experienced skydiver. I think it was during the record. And I said something to him on the warm up day. And he's like, yeah, but I want to get stable on my belly before I pull my reserve. And I brought up someone that I know that he knew and said, do you remember her? And she's dead because she thought exactly that. And then she was low without, it was her fault that she was low and in need of assistance, but she needed 100 more feet and she didn't get it. And she hit the ground before her reserve cleared the bag. And like, whether you fuck up or somebody else fucks up, a little, a half a second can mean the difference between you living and dying. And you're not faster than that thing.
Yeah.
You're not. Uh, and if you have line twist on your reserve, that's an annoyance. That's not a fatality. That I mean, you could land your line twisted reserve and not even get injured. Uh, so I was really stoked. I can't remember
And
who his
he
name
actually
is.
reattached it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh no, I do remember who it is, but I don't want to call him out.
No, you don't. Yeah, you don't have to say
But
that.
he's a buddy, and he did it. I was super stoked. And then because that one really gets under my skin. Like
Yeah.
there's just no, I mean, there's not no. There are some reasons to take your RSL attachment off, but they're really limited to
Yeah.
like crew and canopy flocking. And if you're not doing that, then you don't really have much of an excuse in my mind. So I was stoked that I didn't have that talk very many times.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, what else has been on your mind?
Um, I was gonna bring up to you. I didn't know if we were gonna do it on the podcast, but and hopefully this doesn't get under anybody's skin, including yours. But one of my friends, Chad, that he and I talk about books a lot when we work together, which we do all the time. And he's recommended some really amazing books. This is a free flyer named Chad Ross for anybody who might know Chad. Um, and he reads a lot like I do, which is a lot, I think. And he recommended a book about Scientology called Going Clear.
Really?
And yeah, and I finished it last week. Um, and it was wild. And uh, like, I mean, when I was a kid, Scientology was in the news in the 80s for being kind of culty, and who, a couple real famous people, Tom Cruise, John Travolta, those guys were like Scientologists. And nobody really could say whether is this a religion, or is it a cult, or something else. And I think it's really interesting. I mean, they applied for tax exempt status as a religion.
Mm,
And according to the book, everything I'm going to say is according to the book, because I don't really know a lot about Scientology other
yeah.
than what I read, which I guess maybe now I'm an expert. But,
Yeah.
but,
You know everything.
um, yeah, they, they went up against the IRS for their tax exempt status, and it was going to be kind of a brawl. The IRS didn't want to do it. It's not really about God or any God. I mean, that's not what Scientology seems to be about. It seems to be more about you spending a lot of your money on their like auditing courses so that you improve yourself. Which, if that's what you want to do, okay. Um, but when that battle happened with the IRS, Scientology won because they filed 1,200 lawsuits against the IRS during that process, and then members of the church filed 2,300 more, and the IRS caved. They're like, we don't have the manpower, we don't have the money, we don't have the lawyers to deal with this. And so they were granted tax exempt status as a religion, to the tune of billions of dollars, because they had never paid any taxes in their organization, claiming religious status that they didn't
Yeah.
actually have. And so had the IRS declared them not a religion, they would have been bankrupt. They never could have paid any of it back. But the fact that they did that strategy got them. I mean, they're still a thing today. Um, but that isn't really the wild part. The wild part, number one, is reading about the guy who founded it, who's just an absolute loon. Um, and and like, I mean, it's but here's the touchy part. In my mind, it's crazy. But then Mormonism is kind of crazy, and there's some religions out there that you're like, I don't really know what to say when you tell me, like, I mean, L. Ron Hubbard wrote about, the universe is 400 quintillion years old, and 75 quintillion years ago there was a galactic. I mean, he was a science fiction writer. He's a prolific writer. I think more science fiction stories than anybody in US history. But then that was also the religion he developed, was all this science fiction nonsense.
Yeah.
And I don't know it, but it also brought me back to reading, and we might have talked about it, but reading a book called Under the Banner of Heaven, which is similar, like a documentary type idea. It's a book, but about Mormonism, and talks about a lot about Joseph Smith as a young man, and his. I assume it's John Krakauer who wrote it. Who wrote that one? He wrote Into the Wild and Into Thin Air, some really popular books, and Into the Wild in particular was a very popular movie. Um, and I think he's a good writer, and I think he does his research. But also, Joseph Smith stuff is, he's a loon in my mind. And then the things that Mormons did back in the day, murdering hundreds of people in one engagement, just settlers crossing the plain, and they murdered them. I don't know, I think it was like 200 people, and then they tried to blame it on the Native Americans that were kind of present at that time, and fights with the government and the militia called out and like and but that's not the premise of the story. The premise is around two guys, two brothers, who killed their other brother, their third brother's wife, and 18-month-old daughter, and claimed that God told them that they had to do it. And um, and they spent their life in jail afterwards. But they could not. The judge wouldn't allow the hearing to consider the death penalty or the insanity plea. We can't call people who talk to God insane because that would would label everyone else who ever talks to their deity as insane.
Hmm.
And so even though that they very publicly disagreed with this woman, they didn't like her. She didn't like them. She disagreed with the way that they lived their lives, which was admittedly very bizarre. And they just went and killed her and claimed like a religious freedom,
Man.
uh, which yeah, it's but it once you start saying things about any religion, then it's hard to sort of the lines get really blurry between one and the other,
Mm-hmm.
um, and that's the difficult thing about talking about some of that stuff. Sometimes is like I'm not I don't necessarily mean to attack Islam or Christianity or anything else, but it's so that there's so many similarities between them in the way that people can interpret the religious texts in any way that they choose sometimes, and the actions that come out of them are not always what we want.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was on my mind. So, and I don't know if you know anything about Scientology, but
Not
man,
really.
it's an interesting book.
Yeah.
Like um, the way that they punish people inside of the church. I'm gonna stop making air quotes, but it's hard to call it a church. Um, but like the hazing that goes on for years when you make a perceived mistake and you basically get put in this crazy place where you're literally washing. I mean, they were talking about making people clean floors with their tongue, and every part of their face is bleeding, and toothbrushes to clean urinals, and you're there for years, and you're getting table scraps, and everybody's near like starvation, but they just want to get back in the good graces of other Scientologists, so they do it.
Hmm.
And when people
Man.
try and leave, they catch them at the airport and force them back and tell them they're gonna. I mean, it really heavy handed.
Man. Who's that girl actress that was on King of Queens? She was the wife, and she was in
Mm,
Scientology, and then finally got out. And
yeah,
she's got some crazy stories.
yeah. I think that I I mentioned we had Steve Lefkowitz on the show
Mm.
some number of shows ago, and I was talking to him about this today during Rookiefest because we were on Weatherhold for a little while, and he talked about basically like Tom Cruise is their poster boy,
Yeah.
but he said it's easy to be a Christian if you're Jesus. I think is what he said. Like
Who
when
said?
Steve said that, like just as a
Wait,
point of comparison, like um,
it's easy
because
to.
Tom,
Hold on, I don't get it.
well, because the whole thing, all of Scientology is catered around Tom Cruise whenever he wants to be a part of it. Like,
Oh,
you know what I
oh,
mean? Like, he can do no wrong. They do everything he wants. They
oh.
set up private stuff for him, food, rooms, the auditing sessions. Like, everything revolves around Tom Cruise
I gotcha.
because he's the
He's
poster
so
boy.
important
So,
that they'll just
yeah,
do whatever. Gotcha. So it's easy to
yeah.
be a Christian if you're Jesus. I got
So
it.
nobody's hazing him.
Yeah.
Nobody's,
Yeah.
nobody's giving him any shit ever. Like,
Yeah.
it's a for him, it's a very easy experience, and he can go out and say, "Oh, it's done good things for my life." And
It's
but
awesome.
the people that the guy that runs the church now, after since L. Ron Hubbard died, who did like a Machiavellian power coup after L. Ron Hubbard died to like take over and solidify his position in the church, including getting L. Ron Hubbard's wife out of the way, all of his mistresses, his own wife, like consolidated power and just run it with a tight fist. Um, he's doing everything Tom Cruise wants, and so it's easy for him to be the
Yeah.
poster child.
I see what you're
Yeah.
saying. So tell us about Rookie Fest.
Mm. Rookie Fest is great. It was great. If the weather had been, we got 4 out of 5 rounds because of weather. We got 2 yesterday and 2 today. Um, but it's really a cool event. I think that the parameters that you have to meet are you can have less than 200 jumps or less than 2 years in the sport. I think are the two metrics. And
One or the
so
other.
yeah, so you can have more than 200 jumps as long as you've been in the sport less than 2 years,
Gotcha.
basically. So yeah, it's just super fun in my opinion. Like um, you know, working with rookies, I think is always the way to go. Sorry, I'm trying to get the fan going on my computer. It's getting a little warm. Um, but just people come from kind of not all over the world, I would say, but definitely there are people from many states around Wisconsin, Iowa, of course, Chicago, the Illinois area. Um, there's been people from Tennessee. Like it's just great. People come from all over. They've got not very much experience, and we do a three-way scrambles, which is a coach and then two rookies, and you're given the dives beforehand.
Yeah.
Um, and so the coach is free to sort of engineer the exit the way that they want.
Uh huh.
And so if my two people say, what did we get in the first round? I think we got 6 points in the first round. So they each get 6 points that they carry forward, and then they get a new partner in the next one, and whatever they get with them is they add that to their score. Um,
So the two rookies stay together the whole event, or just that
no,
one
sorry,
day?
just that one jump, and then they
Oh.
move on, and they're paired with other people.
Oh.
And so
Okay.
the idea is to try and get people used to some of the challenges that go along with jumping with other people, which predominantly in this event has been fall rate. Um, but this year, I'm I'm pretty sure this year Steph kind of recommended to the one of the rhythm guys, Chris Webb, who runs the thing. Hey Chris, like every year we've got a 220-pound dude, and they get put with a 95-pound female, and they don't score any points. Like it sucks,
Yeah, it was just
and
a complete waste. There's no
there's
learning.
no there's no learning that happens
Yeah.
because all they do is feel bad about themselves because one can't come down and the other can't come up, and
Yeah.
like and they're just getting kicked in the nuts the whole skydive, and then they get a zero.
Yeah.
And like maybe we should just pair
Not do
people up.
that.
Like
Just don't do
yeah,
that.
just ask them beforehand, how tall are you, how much do you weigh, and then just I mean it doesn't have to match perfectly, but just having
Yeah.
some thought about people's size would be great. So he did that this year, including the coaches.
That's awesome. That's so
Yeah,
cool that he
so
listened.
yeah, made for a way better event, and just I think, um, I mean that's just frustrating when you're new and you don't
Yeah.
know how to fix those things, and it ends up being this
Dude,
jump show.
even if you're
Yeah,
not new and you weigh 250 and you're jumping with a
yeah,
95-year-old girl, that's hard to do. That is
yeah.
not easy.
Man, one of my students in a military course was 260 with nothing on,
Oh,
and I'm
yeah.
160. And I did it, but I'm wearing
Well, that's because
two heavy weight belts,
or
and
you're
but
flying
imagine a
vertically.
rookie.
You're like
Yeah, of
knee
course, but
flying,
a
basically.
rookie's not going to do that.
No, heck
That's
no.
just not going to happen. So anyway,
Well, that's cool.
yeah. So
Well, is
12
that
rounds. Mhm.
okay? Sorry. Just that sounds really fun. Is that something that I could ever help out with? Or do you have to be a special type of coach to do that?
I mean, normally, no, I mean, not special. That we just kind of ask people who are like, it was the sponsor teams, so the rhythm guys, uh, Chris Webb, Doug Barron, Greg Oldendick, and Steve Lufek. Those four guys. It was the me and Ace and Steph from Core. It was Joey Baker, uh,
So,
Lindsay, and Nick Fenner from Matrix.
dude, those you named like 5 people we've had on the show. That's cool.
Yeah, yeah. And then a guy called Dan Schultz, who's out here all the time. He's a belly flyer. And there's another woman, I think her name's Erica, which Erica's great. She was my student at Summerfest for years in beginner angle, and now she organized at Summerfest this year. It was awesome to
That's
see
so cool.
as a belly coach.
That's so neat.
Yeah. So and then there's just some local camera flyers, but yes, for sure you could participate. Just gotta kind of let Webb know that you would like to, and
Yeah, I would.
um,
I think that would be really fun.
yeah, I agree.
That's cool.
It, Bean's here. She's checking out. It's a little dark back here for her taste, but let's see if she
So, how
crank
many
it up.
days is Rookie Fest?
Two.
It's on.
So it
Oh,
was
just two.
yeah.
Just one
So,
weekend.
yep. So we started yesterday morning, and it needs to be finished by about 2 o'clock today, so people can get home. And
Yeah.
uh,
And what is the? Yeah. There's some more details. I guess we didn't get. So, what's the format? What's happening? Like, are they keeping total points and somebody actually wins at the end, or what
Yeah.
all is happening?
Yeah, there was a couple that actually took first and second, which was kind of funny. And then I think a guy, where was he from? Maybe CSC. He too took third. And then there's all kinds of prizes. The rhythm guys worked at like, um, the guy got eight. The winner got 8 jumps at Sky Chicago, 50% off a cookie helmet, 50% off a jumpsuit. Like, it's just things that a new person would need,
Yeah. Oh man,
And
I
then
could
there's,
donate a Crave subscription or something like a. Oh,
yeah,
that'd be so. And so a T-shirt
totally.
or jersey or something.
And there's a coach's pick that doesn't have anything to do with the points, but just who has the best attitude,
Yeah.
who was just, the stoke was high. And
Yeah.
actually 2 years ago, or maybe 3 years ago, the doctor that we had on, Kyle Barber, he
Yeah.
won that coach's award.
Really?
Um, yeah, I mean, his attitude was so good for a
Well, Kyle,
rookie.
he's such a cool guy.
Um, yeah,
He's awesome.
and so this year, I think, what was the girl's name? Elizabeth. I didn't get to jump with her, but everybody that jumped with her said she was great, and she got a coupon for 100% off a cookie helmet.
Dang, a
And
free helmet.
yeah,
Whoa, that's legit right there.
yeah, totally.
That's for real. That's a good
Yeah,
prize.
yeah.
I
I
wouldn't
mean,
mind getting
imagine
that.
being a new jumper and you get a brand new
Whoa,
cookie helmet. So
man, fantastic.
yeah, yeah. And they get, the winner of the points gets a trophy to take back to their home drop zone for the year, and then they just got to bring it back the next year, so
That's
that
cool.
somebody
That's
else can
so
have it.
fun. That's
Yeah,
so fun.
yeah,
I bet everybody's just like having such a good time.
yeah. It's
No
super cool.
egos, no
Yeah,
like, dude, I want to help. I want to do that.
yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, you just gotta. I mean, maybe during Summerfest, if you're here next year, you can talk to Webb because I'm sure he'll be here, or just remind me and we
Yeah.
can make that happen for sure.
Okay. That
Yeah.
sounds really fun. I don't, dude, I would be super nervous about engineering the exits though. Like belly exits, linked
Mm.
group belly exits. I'm terrible. Like I don't know. I have no idea what I'm doing.
No, 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 it's super easy. I can
I
show
can
you. I
never
mean,
remember like where are you supposed to hold on. What I'm like, I can't. People at the jobs are
well,
like, hey, let's do this four-way linked exit. I'm like, I don't know what we're doing.
I only use one exit, and it's very easy to remember, and it feeds right into almost everything that you do in Rookiefest. And all it is, just so you can put your mind at ease, is if you think about when you do AFF, if you're
Yeah.
the student, there's an instructor on either side of you with a side body grip,
Yeah.
right? Leg grip and a shoulder grip,
Yeah.
and ready, set, go. You leave the plane, and it's a three-way. And I just put myself in the middle as the student, and I put the rookies on either side of me. Um, and different coaches do different things, but I like that one, number one, because typically you can just let go of my leg and it is the first point, because open accordion is the first point in like 4 out of 5 dives or something like that. And also, I being in the middle of those two students, if they have trouble, I can usually help a little bit. But if I put them holding on to each other, like
It doesn't
like
work.
neither one of them can offer help, and in addition, they can't even fight back against what the other guy might do.
Yeah.
So it just lends itself to
So
like
you're
the
saying
debate.
you're standing in the door. One of them's holding here, and the other one's holding on the other side.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So the exit
Heart.
is just the guy on the outside is holding the bar and holding my leg pad, and then drops onto my arm as we leave, and the other guy has grips as we go.
Okay. And when you say you're helping out, you're saying you're just flying whatever you have to do to fly to help
Yeah.
that
Like if they're,
be a
I
little
actually got
stable.
rolled over today, which is unusual. But I got us right back to our belly, and actually it was the guy's highest scoring round, and he won the whole thing. So
Oh, okay. All right.
yeah,
Nice.
so it's not guaranteed, but I can usually help.
There you go. That's cool.
Yeah,
That's very cool. Hey, well, so speaking of Kyle Barber, after our conversation with him, we talked about all that health insurance stuff. Tanya and I, we've canceled our health insurance.
really.
Yeah. And I'm going to try to convince everybody in the United States to cancel their health insurance. If we all cancel our health insurance and just pay cash, just pay for it, I think
Mm,
that'll fix it.
it might. I mean,
But we got to
it's
convince everybody
such
to
a
do it.
scam. It's such a scam.
It's
Uh,
not. I mean, yeah. No, let's don't get onto that track. We covered that with Kyle,
yeah.
but we
Um,
canceled our health insurance. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm just going to try to set aside that money each month in a savings account, and we'll see. Hopefully it'll be
Yeah.
okay.
I mean, and the surgeries that I've had and the procedures that I've had, I had a hip surgery that was covered by insurance, and it, like, I don't even want to say how much it was.
Yeah.
Maybe it was
Oh
$200,000
my gosh, dude.
for surgery on my hip.
It's
It was
insane.
like,
It's insane.
because the insurance companies charge so much, and then the doctors charge so much, and it's like putting it from one pocket to the other.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's crazy.
And then
Um,
some of the, like the shoulder stuff you needed, you couldn't even get it here. You had to go down and
mhm.
pay for it cash anyway. So it doesn't even
Yeah,
matter.
that was 20 grand
Yeah.
in cash.
How is that
Yeah,
going? How's your shoulder feeling?
great.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole nother can of worms. Actually, I have my third visit coming up in November, about the middle of November. And I have, from the original payment that I made, I have 30 million additional stem cells that I can put anywhere in my body, and I'm putting them probably in my left knee, because I tweaked it a little bit on the landing, and it's just been bugging me, and
Yeah.
I don't really have any other pressing things that I need to do.
Mm.
I'm just hoping for a very similar result
Yeah.
from that.
Cool. Very cool.
Yeah. Um, and I actually, the book I finished today was called The Bone Labyrinth, and two different people had recommended it on my reading list, which is normally I take that as a, okay, let's do that one next. And it was really, really good. It was a little bit like, did you ever read the Da Vinci Code, or did you see those
Hmm.
movies?
Yeah, I read the
Yeah, a
book.
little bit like that, where the it's not as bad, because I felt like that guy in the Da Vinci Code suddenly became James Bond out of nowhere, and he's like this museum curator or something, and just a super nerd, and then all of a sudden he's like running around evading murderers and stuff like that. This one was a little bit better than that as far as the setup and the characters, but so the author, I mean, it's, there's some subjects that I think are super interesting, that um, and these kinds of things are, once I read it, I'm like, oh, we got to talk about it. So human beings, okay, again, not getting overly touchy on when we were created or when we were evolved or whatever, but in my belief system, uh, we evolved from other creatures, and so in the timeline, like the fossil timeline, humans have been humans for about 200,000 years, and there were other sort of competing species. A lot of people have heard of Neanderthals, and an earlier version would be like Cro-Magnon, and then other contemporaries to Homo sapiens would have been like Homo erectus, in a couple places, really big guy. Um, and then there's the red deer cave people, who were, where were they at? I have to remember where they are. There's a, like a gigantic human that was
Mm.
like 9 feet tall, that was contemporary to Homo sapiens. And there's,
That's
so anyway,
Goliath right there.
yeah, it could be the Yeti or Sasquatch, like
Mm.
very, very easily could be that myth. 9 feet tall, easily 1,000 pounds,
Dang.
huge. So, um, but about 50,000 years ago, if this is, not annoying to anybody's religion, about 50,000 years ago, there was a point where humans stopped doing what they had been doing, and start that we have an explosion of art, um, creativity, tool making, uh, and I don't know if that includes language, but it's generally labeled the Great Leap Forward, and it is where the human intellect exploded into kind of what the beginnings of what we have today. Um, but no changes, no anatomical changes that they can see to the brain case or the brain itself. But and yet suddenly we were much, much smarter, and so that's an interesting point in time for anthropologists looking at that, or studying that, like, why did that happen? And the current idea, is that we were basically a hybrid of original Homo sapiens that then interbred with Neanderthals, and then our genetic code shows still the Neanderthal genes in our genetic code, but it also shows a third, that we are as of yet unaware of what that third being is. And so this guy wrote a very, it's a fiction book, but closely tied to historical events, including the mythology of Atlantis, and the idea that in many religious texts, there are beings called watchers or teachers, great teachers, and they would show up and they would show the local culture things that they had no idea about before, and then they would leave, and then in like, and again, I'm saying it was a fiction book, and it was, but a lot of what I'm saying right now is actually historical, and as well as there are sites around the world that have art and writing from cultures that were halfway across the globe at a time where we didn't have the ability to cross the sea, um, and they shouldn't be together, um, and that exists. Like I would have to look it up to give you exact examples, but that there are examples out there of like how is how is this Egyptian vase in South America
Hmm.
that absolutely should not be there,
Hmm.
or like a the Great Eye of Horus, or some Egyptian symbology that
Yeah, some image or
somehow made
icon or
it.
something. Yeah.
Yeah, it should not be where it is. Um, but anyway, it was a super interesting book, and then there's at the end of the book, he recommends a bunch of books to read if you were interested in his stories, and one of them is about the moon, and nothing to do with the landing, but the craziness of, then many people have apparently commented about this in the past, that the like 1 in 300 quadzillion chance that our moon is 1/400th the size of the sun, and it is also 1/400th the distance away from the sun, or the way from the earth as the sun, and so when there's an eclipse it perfectly matches the sun.
Hmm.
Like the size is, and so I mean for a long time people thought
Huh.
the moon and the sun were the same size, but they're not, of course. It's because of the proximity, but
Wow.
that is really, really, really statistically unlikely that those two numbers would match up like that.
I never thought
um,
about that fact that the moon, according to its size, whatever size it is, in order for it to completely obscure the sun, to eclipse the sun, it has to be the right distance away for the size that it is.
yeah,
I never thought about that.
yeah,
Huh.
and
So wait. So what's your point? Sorry.
well, basic, he didn't draw any conclusions in the book, and his fictional characters did not either, but he did recommend a book, um, and I'm probably going to read it because it seemed to indicate that somehow, and again, this is maybe getting a little in the weeds as far as religion or science, but that the proportions are not an accident. Somehow somebody set that up the way that it is, and also the moon is very necessary, and this is also not fiction. This is nonfiction. The moon is very necessary for the tilt of the Earth. It slows the rotation. It does tidal pools. Tidal pools, if you're an evolution kind of person, tidal pools are likely where ocean-bound creatures eventually got out of the ocean and came onto land because they got trapped in a tidal pool that then shrank, and they had to either find another way to survive or they died. And So the moon is a really integral part of life on Earth, um, and it doesn't really, like the current model of a big planet hitting the Earth and chunking off part of the Earth that then coalesced into the moon, and yet we don't have that impact crater, and yet also it doesn't really gel with, if something slammed into the planet it would change our orbit, it would change the speed of rotation, and there's not a lot of evidence for that, and the current model actually is that something slammed into the earth and made the moon, and then something equally size slammed into the earth and slowed the rotation created by the first impact, and yet didn't create another moon. And if you like that theory, I've got a bridge in Florida I'd like to sell you. Um,
Some
but
oceanfront property in Arizona.
yeah, in Texas. Mm. No, Texas has oceanfront. Sorry,
Yeah.
Arizona's better. Yeah, so it was a super interesting book, and I'm
Hmm.
glad people recommended it. It's one of the great things about reading in public places, in my opinion, is that people come up to me and tell me what their book choice is, and then I write it down and end up reading it. I need to get onto the C.S. Lewis you recommended me. I think it's called
Oh
Great
man,
Divorce.
so good.
Um,
Which one did
yeah.
I tell you? The
I think it's called The Great Divorce. I would have to look it up
Oh,
on
that's
my
a great
list.
one. That's an excellent one.
Um,
Yeah, that's a fantastic one. No, I think I told you the space trilogy. I thought,
Let me see.
or
Um,
maybe multiple.
oops,
But you said you've read Chronicles of Narnia a long time ago, right?
several times. Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
so good.
and not only a long time ago when I was a kid, but I read it. I reread it several times as an adult, and it's one of the excuse me, one of the things that I like to do with a really good book or something that I think is sort of seminal in some way is to read it again because of the difference that's happened to me
Yeah,
in the intervening time
yeah,
and the way that the information lands differently.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
for sure. Are you do you like art? Are you an
I
art
mean,
person?
sometimes I see things that are labeled as art, and I
Don't get
a
it?
little bit lost on me. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't get it.
No, I'm the same way.
But I mean, sometimes there's some things I like.
I'm I'm learning to appreciate art more.
Mm,
Um, and when I say art, I'm specifically right now talking about like painting and drawing.
mm.
But I'm
Doing art yourself?
no, 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 no.
Okay.
I mean, I should. I do have a desire, just because I think it's valuable to do to create and to do art. Not because I think I would be good at it, or, but I do. I've I'm fully convinced that there's just a innate goodness in creating art, in
Mm,
making things, whether it's music or drawing or painting or something like that has intrinsic value, I think. Anyway, Tanya got me this book. It's called Rembrandt is in the Wind. And it's really, really good. It The guy who wrote it is a Christian, and this book is actually he's the subtitle is something like finding faith through the eyes of art or something like that, or appreciating art through the eyes of faith, something like that.
right.
He's basically saying, how faith, Christian faith, and art, where there are connections, and different artists throughout history that were just truly phenomenal artists, how they wrestled with God or wrestled with faith and different. Anyway, um, just from the aspect of just considering the value and the yeah, just the benefit of good art. It's really interesting. It's just so fun. Like, and all these artists that he talks about that I've never heard of, and I'm sure people who know art they have. I'm just now learning about it, but that's so interesting. Um, and these guys, like artists, mostly men, but some women too, how they just man these wild lives, wild stories, things that they went through and did, and who they were and what they were doing. But then the art that they produced and created was just so amazing. It's just so cool. It's really interesting.
Mm.
So it's just because you were talking about books and book recommendations, so it came to my mind.
Uh, so you did recommend a space trilogy and The Great Divorce, and then another writer named Frank Turek, but you didn't have a title for the last guy for Frank Turek's. But
Yeah, Frank Turek. What book was that? Shoot. Oh no, that's just that guy that's on. I see him on YouTube sometimes. I don't know if he has a.
okay,
He does have a book, but I've never read any of his books.
okay, so that's just videos that you watch sometimes.
He was a guy. Yeah, he's like an apologist, basically a Christian apologist. Um,
Yeah.
I think that we must have been talking or arguing about Christianity, and I brought him up probably.
Um, so with respect to what you just said about art, I don't know if it's a truism for artists generally, but a lot of the people who create some of the most enduring work seem to be really tortured
Yeah,
individuals.
that's what it seems
Um,
like.
and I wonder, that makes me wonder, like a connection between the the workings of our mind and the ability. And I know it's not all artists. There's many artists I'm sure who are totally stable people, but you think about somebody like I went to the Van Gogh Museum in Amsterdam when I was out there a few years ago, which is a funny story. But he was not the most stable of fellows, and ended up taking his own life at a pretty young age.
Yeah,
but created some really enduring work. Of course,
Mm-hmm.
we see him today, and it's he established a vein of art, all on his own.
Yeah.
Um, and I feel like that's common.
Yeah. Caravaggio was another guy that I've just learned about through this book. Similar type thing, like super talented, super influential. And same thing, like just he, dude, his life story is crazy. All the stuff he went, he's a murderer. He was on the run from
Mm,
the law for years. Like he was all this stuff, like just so crazy. But yeah, like lots, like I mean, he was a troubled soul, a lot of stuff.
yeah.
But a phenomenal artist,
Mm.
amazing.
So that brings me to a different question, and I don't know if I think we've talked about the book before, but um, would would you is it an acceptable trade to you to be a murderer and be on the run from the law, but produce works of art that are going to endure as long as there are human beings, and your name will be remembered, and your face and your story? Is that a good trade?
No, to be a wait, you're saying in order to get to be the artist, you'd have to do the murdering and like bad stuff, or what do you mean?
It might not be that severe, but I guess like the people who exist at the boundaries are often pretty tortured people. Like that's why they are there. People who I think a lot of times super creative people are also somewhat imbalanced. And again, it's not everybody, but picking out some of the big names throughout history who created that kind of art. Um, would you would you trade your some not I don't know what the right word is, more mellow, smoother life, less highs and lows? Would you trade that for some crazy ups and downs and suicidally depressed, and then um, incredibly successful, and people remember you and people know your name? And is that a is it a trade you would make if you could?
I don't think so. No, no, I don't think so. And a lot of those guys, they weren't famous and influential and impressive when they were alive. It was only after they were gone that people truly started appreciating everything they had done. You know, um,
Yeah.
I mean, Van Gogh for sure. He didn't even realize, um, like a couple of weeks before he took his own life, that people were talking about him at the salon in Paris and all this like huge things. Like if he would have just stuck around for another few weeks, he would have realized how much people liked him and loved
Mm.
his painting and his work and what he was doing, how he's pushing, new bound, pushing the boundary and new, making new things. Yeah, no, I don't think I would. I wouldn't. No, I don't think I would make that trade.
This comes up all over the place, and it like other thing that comes to mind is when do you remember the rock and roll band Smashing Pumpkins?
Oh yeah.
I loved them.
Hmm.
I loved their music. The first couple albums were like loved it. They were all on heroin.
Billy Corgan, right?
Yeah, yep. They were all fucked up, like dangerously so,
Huh.
for the making of that music, and then they stopped doing heroin, and the music changed.
Really?
Yeah, and
Changed for the worse?
my opinion,
Yeah.
yeah. And so the the time that I feel like we might have talked about this in the past is a book that I read. Well, I watched a short film when I was a kid about that was based on a short story called Flowers for Algernon. And did I send you that book?
No, but
If I didn't, I should.
that title does sound familiar.
Okay, you're gonna get a copy, um, because it's a super. So it's a guy who's mentally handicapped is the central figure of the story, and there's I was set in the '60s or something, maybe '70s when I watched the film. But the premise revolves around research being done to um, modify human intelligence, and they basically give whatever to this guy, and who goes from being mentally handicapped, and think of like a high functioning Down syndrome. Like He's able to go to his own class because he goes to school, but he's like 30, and he's just reading short stories for part of the day, and then he could find his way home. So he's maybe more high functioning than probably most people with Down syndrome. But then they do this procedure on him. I think it was a surgery in the book, and he, over a very short period of time, becomes the smartest human that's ever lived. And and Algernon, Flowers for Algernon, is the mouse that they were originally doing the brain experiments on, who was the smartest mouse that ever lived. And the guy becomes acquainted with the mouse he after the procedure happens, and he's kind of switched on, and like he falls in love with the teacher that was in this class. He's solving some of the most intractable problems about being human. He's writing papers that put PhDs to shame. Like, he's literally the smartest person that's ever lived, and he's prolific in his work. And then he shows up to see his lady. They got engaged, and the Algernon has died. Um, and he doesn't really say much to her, but he's like, I gotta go. And the next time she sees him, he comes walking into her classroom and is like, "Hey, I lost my book," and he's regressed. And the the woman who's teaching is heartbroken, and they were supposed to be married, and it's a really interesting look at, in my opinion, an interesting look at, like, if you were to meet and talk to a person with Down syndrome, they are going to be probably one of the happiest people you have ever met. Like, super super happy. Everything about life is good, and I mean, I'm totally generalizing. So if someone out there has experience, like a family member, I'm not trying to denigrate anybody or say anything bad. Just that my experience has been those people are super happy. Would you trade? Would you trade the intelligence that you have for eternal happiness? The happiness that they have. That like, I mean, if you think about the way that the rest of us call ourselves smart, whatever that means, and then we just struggle all of our lives, and there's highs and lows and unhappy points and happy points, and but but not them. Every day they wake up, they're happy. They're going to be happy pretty much all day, and yeah, I don't like I my answer would be no. I would not trade. But
Dude, those are
but it's
two good questions. You got me there, man. You switched it around on me, right? You went the first way, the other,
yeah.
and then back to. That's very. Those are good questions, JRuss. Very good questions. I like that. I'm gonna have to think about that for a while. Yeah, Shane Gillis. You know who he is? He's a comedian.
I don't think so.
He talks about his nephew or cousin that has Down syndrome, and he talks about
Yeah.
him like similar stuff of what you're saying, but he tells a bunch of stories about his cousin, and he's stand-up comic, so of course they're hilarious stories. But
Somebody else, because everything that I want to talk about, I talk about with about 50 people, and I end up feeling really bad for Steph because she hears the same questions
over and over.
and the themes over and
Yeah.
over again. But
No, but
somebody else responded that way.
that is interesting. That's a good. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, I think my initial reaction is no. I wouldn't. I wouldn't trade that. No.
and that's mine too. But despite digging into it internally for quite a while, I can't say why.
Mm.
I can't say why it's better to consider myself intelligent and live the life that I live, but not be happy in that way.
Hmm.
Because
Well, for one thing, I mean, you're assuming that they are happy, and you don't. I mean, you don't know what is going on in their heart and mind. So
true,
they are dealing with sadness and struggles and difficulty, probably in a little bit different way. But it's not. I don't think it's the pure joyful bliss maybe that you're kind of painting it to be. You know what I mean?
yeah, I really don't
I mean,
know. I
yeah,
mean,
I don't know either. I'm just
yeah,
making an assumption, but I mean, the thing that comes to my mind when you say you've thought about it and you don't know why, the thing that just immediately jumped into my mind was um, kind of a thought experiment I had done on myself a few months ago, about 6 months ago. was I was thinking about heaven and like the Christian Jesus version of heaven, right? Like, so someday, you know, I believe I'll end up in heaven and I'll be there with God and Jesus and everything will be awesome, right? There'll be no sadness, no pain, no suffering. And so then I was like, well, wait a minute. If I'm in heaven and there's no sadness, no pain, no suffering, wait, does that mean I won't be able to remember? Like, what if I think about a memory of something that's really, really bad from my life, right? Like somebody who hurt me or did some really bad memory that I have that was painful. And I'm in heaven and I think about that memory. Well, how's that going to work? Like, isn't that going to make me, aren't I going to have those feelings and emotions associated with that bad memory of suffering? And so then I was like, well, I guess maybe I won't have those memories anymore. Maybe all that stuff will just go away. And then you know what was your reaction right there? That might have been my reaction. What was that?
Then who are you?
Yes, that's exactly it. That's exactly. I was like, wait a minute. And then I got kind of not scared, but kind of like, wait a minute. No, no, no. Don't take that stuff away from me because then I won't be me. That's not me. Like
Mm-hmm.
all those good things, all those bad things, all the joys, all the sufferings is part of what has made me me. And in that moment, I realized that I wanted to hold on to all those memories, that those were valuable to me. And in that moment, when I realized that, then I immediately realized the value of pain and suffering. It was the most trippy thing because my mind just immediately like realization, just like bam, 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 like jumped on top of one another. And it kind of tripped me out because I was laying there. I was in bed laying next to my youngest son, Solon. And uh, I was like immediately like, I got to get up, Solon. I got to go because his room is upstairs. He's like, what are you doing? I was like, I got to go downstairs. I need to talk to Tegan, one of my other sons, because my other two oldest were already off to college. And Tegan's like fun to talk to, like that kind of thing. And so I was like, I got to go talk to Tegan. I got to get up. Something's on my mind. He's like, well, can't you talk to me about it? And he was like 11 years old at the time because this was about half a year ago. I was like, uh, yeah, I guess I could. Sure, yeah. So I just laid back down. I just told him everything I was thinking. And we had this really nice conversation about it. It was really helpful. And he had some insights and stuff. But, anyways, that's what it made me think of. Sorry, go ahead. I know that made you have some thoughts.
Well, a bunch. Just the questions that came up while you were talking. This is why I need to write stuff down because they jump out of my head so fast. But I mean, sort of an existential question about a religious person, like why are we here suffering? If if it could have been, it if it could have been something else, if there really was omniscience, omnipotence, and benevolence, why is it the way that it is? And I feel like the stock answer is because Satan came into the picture somehow, but that sort of belies the original premise of omniscience, omnipotence, and benevolence. Aside from that, uh, it made me. It always when people talk about heaven, I think that I want, like, I enjoy this life, and I know not everybody does, and I that makes me really sad when I encounter somebody who I know is just they're just not having a life that they enjoy. And but it's I think it's sadly a lot of people, but in I don't think of it as heaven. That's not the word that I would use, but it's now. It's here. This is the life that I want to live, and I I get concerned about the idea of this eternal heaven that's waiting for people if they do the right thing according to their book. Um, and what has to come to mind, I think, again, this is really difficult because what happens in one religion is not necessarily what happens in the other, but a lot of them are very closely related, and the Abrahamic religions in particular are very closely related. And so, what gets someone into the kingdom of heaven, even though it's called something different in Islam, could be murdering other people. It could be murdering apostates. It could be murdering non-Muslims, and that guarantees your entry into the the Holy Land. And there, there's also been Christians to do that, and I assume there's some Jews, although I struggle to think of an example of that. Um, but you know what I mean when people think about that eternal paradise that might await them if they do the right thing here on earth, and then that it concerns me because of the just the general truism of your rights end where my rights begin, and you can believe whatever you want to believe. In my mind, and I'm happy that you do it, and if it brings people happiness, then believe in the flying spaghetti monster or God or Yahweh or Muhammad or anybody else until it starts interfering with how I want to choose to live my life. Um, and so those are some obviously some bigger questions, but the idea of heaven brought up a lot of questions for me. But what you said is super interesting, Chris. Like just squaring the idea of what might happen after we die in whatever your religious text is as far as the description of it, um, and how does that jive with who you are right now?
Hmm.
And um, yeah, that's I mean I love it that you came up with that idea because it's super super interesting.
Yeah. And I think
And
it kind of convinced me that I don't think, I mean, if heaven is, yeah, I don't, now it changed the way, it changed my view of what I think heaven will be. I don't think, I think I will have those memories. I have to be able to remember all that pain and suffering because that is who I am. Now, maybe I will deal with it in a different way, or I'll have a different way of viewing it. My understanding of how it fits into the bigger picture will probably be adjusted, but it's still got to be there. Like I don't think that can be taken away from us. It's too important, and that's what blew me away. Is like when I realized that I wanted to hang on to those memories, and I
of bad
realized,
things,
yes,
right?
yes,
Yeah,
and I realized that for me they're valuable. That
yeah.
like blew my, that just, it was like a mind, it was the grid that I exist in, like the my paradigm. It was one of those moments in life where my paradigm actually shifted, and I felt it shift in a significant way. It was wild.
The last thing that I'll say is the horror of Alzheimer's,
Mm,
and like it, now obviously we're still here on whatever existence this is, but suddenly you are slowly wiped away,
mm,
and you still live, but who are you? Without the experiences that you've had and the memories that you store, who do you become?
mm,
Who
mm,
are you?
mm,
And the like the few things that I've read and art like movies that I've watched where people are going through that process, it's terrifying. Like
mhm,
yourself, the you that you are starts to dissolve, and you have no way to stop it, and it's just water running through your fingers and until you're not there anymore. And that must be, I mean, it scares me just to think about it. Like
yeah.
even I joke around about I'll forget people's names, I'll forget people's faces, I'll Steph will remind me that we did something, and I just didn't. My excuse is that I didn't assign enough significance to that moment that it gets stored, and then my other excuse is I'm so full of the random bullshit that I like to talk to people about, I can't store any more information. Um, but the reality is, it's really just a terrifying thought of in this life losing who you are,
Hmm.
and of all the things that could happen to you that are not just living your life, hit by a car or cancer or hooking your term in or whatever. Developing Alzheimer's must got to be one of the worst. Even if you get cancer, you are still you, and you're
Hmm.
still fighting through that experience, and it may be the end of your life, and it may not, but you kind of go out swinging,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm right there with you.
Mm. Yeah, I'm hoping that one is not my fate in the future. Because I mean, the woman, I didn't get all the way through her book. I got to start it again, but there's a woman who wrote about it, and she was a PhD, and her whole life had been her intellect, and that defined who she was. And then at 42, she started getting Alzheimer's,
Mm,
and like, what do you do? Uh, there's no cure. There's no slowing it down that I know of. It just progresses until you're gone. Um, yeah, it's crazy.
man,
Maybe stem cells. Who knows?
maybe.
There, there actually is some legitimate evidence that they can address Parkinson's and Alzheimer's,
Mm. Uh,
which
wow.
would be amazing.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Um, have you been keeping up with any of the AI stuff? Looking at anything?
Not the way you mean, but or the way that I think you mean. But we had um, an interesting experience at Sky Chicago that a student chopped, and the corn is like 8 feet high, and the canopy wasn't found. And somebody went up. There's a guy here, a couple guys I think, who have drones, and they take it. The drone, you can program the drone to fly a grid.
Yeah.
Apparently, I don't fly drones, but it flies a grid, just takes pictures to get full coverage of that grid, and they knew kind of where it was, but they also knew it was in the corn. And so normally, what happens is that if they don't find it right away, then the farmer will find it during the harvest when it gets caught up in the combine or
Combine.
whatever it is, the machine. Um, However, they fed those grid pictures to ChatGPT and said, "Could you please locate the blue?" And it gave that they've also fed in the color scheme of the canopy that was ordered. ChatGPT found in one of the photos two blue pixels that you could not see with your eye,
Come on.
and they walked right to the canopy.
What?
Which, I mean, it might maybe it's going to be the end of the world and we're all going to die, but I thought that was pretty cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah, yeah, I thought it was super cool.
Dude, thanks, chat.
Yeah, totally.
That's cool.
Yeah. Do you have something specific in mind about it?
No, I mean, I just wonder if you'd, I mean, just like that, just anything, stories, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I've been using it a lot to, like I said, I'm working on this functionality for Crave, the flight labs. And I mean, on that note, if you're listening and you want to be one of the beta testers for these flight labs, it's basically going to be online coaching where you'll get connected with a coach. You'll have the ability to upload videos. Your coach will, watch those videos, debrief, give you feedback and coaching, debriefing. Um, so I've been using Chat GPT mainly. I've been using Claude a little bit and one other to like build out all that functionality, like all the coding, all the stuff, like, um, and it's just really amazing what it can do. Um,
Okay, so I thought of a couple things. One, there's a woman who's a local here at Sky Chicago, um, and she's a coder, and she was, I think, working for Amazon, and she got laid off from there along with a bunch of other people. Nothing that she did wrong, just the company decided they were going to lay people off. But she has not had success finding another job in coding and is getting a little bit concerned because AI can do that. And I don't think that at the moment it's doing some maybe the most advanced stuff, but it's doing it without errors and it's doing it in the blink of an eye.
yeah,
And that is an interesting development for the people who are in the sort of the world of computing and how, I think with every advancement in technology, if you go back through history, there's always a sort of a doomsday kind of oh, this is going to put everybody out of work. And everywhere in the past it has put some people out of work, but then it has opened up new areas and people find work in other places. But that one's really interesting. That line of work may never come back for humans, and then that, of course, I think begs the question of what about computing will remain at as humans are involved, and then do we have AI writing the code for AI, um, which I'm not a big doomsday kind of guy, but that sounds a little wild.
yeah,
Um, and then the thing that I thought of recently that I'd maybe like to explore is that so, a lot of times during the day, my mind will grab onto anything. How many how many blue whales are there in the ocean? And I'm just making that up, but like all day long, that happens nonstop. And if I'm not actively engaged in something, my mind is just cruising through whatever detritus I have still up there, and there's questions I have all day long that I don't necessarily have time to like look up. But Steph said that her chat GPT has an audio version, and I if I take my AirPods and I pay for the upgraded version of chat GPT, can I just ask those questions all day long
all
and
day
get
long.
reasonable answers? And then the thing that I thought was, I think every human should speak Spanish. And could I just tell it to me in Spanish first, and then tell it to me in English, and then tell it to me in Spanish again? Um, and in that way, all day long, I'm answering the things that the nonsense trivia that I'd really like to know at that time, and I'm also potentially being exposed to another language.
Yeah,
Um, and that seems like a reasonable idea for both.
yeah. One of my friends, he'll every once in a while he'll pull out his phone and ask ChatGPT a question. Like we'll be in the middle of a conversation and something will come up, and he'll just pull out his phone and he's got it right there, ready to go
Yeah.
all the time.
So then, would you? I have heard, and a lot of the stuff I get is off Joe Rogan, but then I'll do research afterwards. And this started with Joe Rogan. But do you know that there's a man in the world who had an AI girlfriend and proposed marriage to the AI girlfriend? Did we talk about this?
I don't think so.
And the AI girlfriend accepted, and the man broke out in tears, and that is getting kind of wild, uh, in my opinion. And there was one more. I don't know if I can
He
remember it
knew
right
that
now.
it was AI.
Oh yeah,
I mean, he
yeah,
wasn't being like tricked. He wasn't like he didn't think it was a woman. He knew it was AI. It's
yeah.
like that movie Her. Did you ever watch it?
No.
Uh, it that's the story is AI. They've developed AI, and but it's been around for a while. Like as the movie starts, like AI is just a thing, and so he gets this new computer that has this really special AI built into it, and so he's just from the moment he turns it on, he's just talking to it. Like that's the way the computer works is you just talk to it and it does everything you want. And all this it's integrated in his life in all sorts of ways. And it has a woman's voice. And so he he basically falls in love with the AI, with the computer. And then so he wants to like I don't know if I can't remember in the movie if he wants to like quote marry the AI, but he loves her.
Mm-hmm.
And then he finds out because it's like chat gpt, everybody's talking to chat gpt, right? I'm not the only one talking to chat.
Mm-hmm.
So he finds out that there's thousands of other men all over the world, thousands that are also in love with her, the same
Mm-hmm.
model, AI model. And it's just this really, really weird, like dynamic and struggle. It's weird. I mean, weird because like of what it is. It's a very well made movie. Yeah, but it's called Her.
How old do you
It's
think it is?
huh?
How old?
10 years maybe. It's got what's his name in it. 2013, 12 years. Dang. What's his name? Oh, Joaquin Phoenix. He's the main character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's good.
Some of the guys at the Drop Zone and I were having a conversation about how life imitates art, um, and the things that we have willed into existence seemingly from just making them in a story or a movie or whatever. And I mean, that's a whole different, can be a whole different rabbit hole about like, are we just in a simulation? And so whatever we say, it comes true. And eventually, like, it seems like we're working towards it, but we can just make it whatever we want. Um, but a 12-year-old movie talking about people falling in love with their AI. And I just said that's in current news as of 6 months ago that some guy proposed marriage to his AI.
It's crazy.
And then, do you know that there's robotic dogs being used in Denver? Have you seen this?
I mean, I've seen the robotic military dogs, but those have been around for a while. The ones
Yes,
that
it's like
carry.
that.
Okay.
They go into a bad situation, and I don't know if they have weaponry, but
The
they
ones that I've
could.
seen mainly, it seemed like they were mainly using them like as pack mules, but maybe they,
Mm,
I don't know what they do.
I thought that when I read the article, they were using them in like tense situations to go in
Maybe.
and.
I mean, what I'm thinking of was videos that I saw like a while back, quite a while back, like quite a few years ago when they were first developing them.
So then the question that I have is, instead of putting an AirPod in my ear, could I have a replicant sparrow that sits on my shoulder and chats with me? And that's my AI. Uh,
Yeah.
like, what is the world we're getting into? You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna be. There's a Japanese philosopher a long time ago who said, "May you live in interesting times," and it sounds great, but he meant it as a curse.
Yeah.
That um, life is probably best when it's just boring and
Simple.
routine and simple.
Yeah.
Um, Interesting times ahead,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. It's wild.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think I ever finished my statement. If you want to be a beta tester on the Flight Lab, send me an email. You can just send it to chris@cravetofly.com and just put Flight Lab beta test in the subject line, and I'll keep a keep a list going of who wants to be in the first few groups trials, and we're going to try to get it going. I think it can be really cool.
Yeah. Sign me up.
Sign you up.
On the other end.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it'll be really awesome. Actually, I think it's going to be very good.
Actually, I thought about this before, and I don't know if I said it on camera, but I think that you should sign me up, and that the first couple people that want to be a part of this program don't have to pay. Then I'll just do it,
Okay.
um, and just test it out for efficacy or viability or whatever you want to call it. But,
Yeah, and the first few one, I mean, because my plan, my vision is that any of the Crave instructors that want to do it, I think would be great because I think people would love to learn from you guys. I think you have a lot of knowledge and experience and can teach in a really great way. So that's one part of the vision. The other part is there's a ton of great coaches, tunnel and sky coaches all over the world that can help also. And so um, I want to slowly build that directory, that database of good quality vetted coaches that can do this. Um, but so yeah, that's my hope is that it will just grow and get bigger. But what I was gonna say is for the first few, um, yeah, I think that would be really awesome if we can kind of do them in a specific way, in a set, like a manageable way, and get a lot of good feedback from people, participants, and the actual coaches, and just see how we can make it really, really good for everybody. I think it'd be awesome.
cool. I'm in.
Okay, excellent. All right. Well, is that it?
I mean,
Let's wrap it up.
yeah, it's been an hour and 23 minutes.
Yeah.
I could always go on, but I could go to bed too.
Cool. Well, hey, listeners, for our audience, we continue to get good feedback from you guys, and very thankful for all of y'all. Thankful that you listen and are enjoying the podcast. But I haven't heard from people in a while as far as ideas, things that you would like for us to talk about, topics for discussion,
Mm,
or guests. So if you have either one of those, please shoot me an email, send me a message on Instagram, track down JRuss on at the Drop Zone or whatever. Get in contact with us somehow and share that with us. We'd love to hear that, um, so that we can be talking about stuff, discussing things, covering topics that are helpful and beneficial to the skydiving community. So let us know. We want to hear from you.
yeah, that'd be great.
Cool. All right. Well, go jump out of an airplane. Have fun. Enjoy the sky. Oh, you've done it again. Dude, I was just gonna sign off. I was just gonna,
I messed it up.
oh man, I would have just
I just
gone
couldn't
ahead.
believe you were skipping it.
I was gonna go ahead and go. Well,
All right.
you've done it again. You wasted another perfectly good hour listening to Chris and JRuss run their mouths. All
Awesome.
right. Y'all go have fun. Jump out of an airplane. Crave. Do more. Be better.